Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline with JW Van Minimal. Wanted to come on in and give you some quick updates and possibly talk about some balance. So, one of the things that I have to do when I'm making these videos is be able to focus in on the camera and you guys, as opposed to looking around. I don't know, I think I'm a little on the paranoid side. So when I'm doing any video, I'm usually in a public place. I'm not at home or in my office or anything like that. And today I'm in the park. So I'm usually at the park, or I'm parked outside of my house, or I'm at my at the office or something, and I'm outside in my car because I frankly like being out of doors. I really don't like being inside in the summer. And once I go home, which is very what do I want to say? When I'm out doing stuff, basically, I stay out until I go home to either go to sleep or like eat, and then I eat and do some things and go to sleep. Once I leave my house, I like to stay out because when I go home, I usually don't come back out unless I have something special to do. Otherwise, I just stay out, especially if it's summer, especially if it's sunny and it's warm like it is for the past couple of weeks. I am so happy about that. So I just finished a workshop I do on a monthly basis with a group I have a contract with, and it's an awesome group. And I always spend so much time like thinking about my workshop, what I'm going to talk about. So even if I have a workshop where I do the same sort of presentation on, everybody who participate is different. So I try to mirror the things that I'm going to add into that workshop. I try to bring some new stuff, energy, information into the workshop. So none of my workshops are the same. They're always custom. Even the one that I do most, I do a couple of them the same, like as far as the most. One is on grant writing. I always bring in a little bit something different there. One is on starting a nonprofit. One is on fund development for your nonprofit. I already created 2 more workshops related to like nonprofit management and organization. I just need a market for my stuff, you guys. I do all of my research. Everything I talk about in my workshops is from experience and education. So once I do a workshop, they're always customized. So I do a budget workshop primarily with young people. They're teens, middle and high school students that I do pretty regularly. So even with that, even if I use the same worksheet that they use to create their budget, I have 2 separate ones I use for their age group. I still present it a little bit different each time. For them, though, I don't get too far out of range because, they're teens and there's a way you have to teach them. But when I do my adult workshops or a specialized workshop for a client, they're always custom and they're always specialized. And I spend a fair amount of thought into whatever that workshop is. And then I do some research, whether I know the subject matter or not. I usually talk about things I already know and experience, but I also still do research on it because I like to bring updated information to, the participants. So today I did a really awesome, to me, workshop, one of the workshops I really enjoyed. I put art into it, and I always do like a thing where people have to we didn't do much reflecting today, but where people are talking to each other. So, and that's by design. Everything I do, is by design. I'll say 95% of the stuff I do is by design. And I don't know if that's good or bad because I'm not a very spontaneous individual. So I wanted to talk a little bit about balance. I may have mentioned that I'm in one of my favorite spots, the park down the street from my house. I don't think I'm going to walk today. I'm saying that, but then I'm looking at these little hills and green trees, and it's like, I need to walk around for a little bit. I did not get my walk in today, by the way. So I might do that. I did do a little exercise because I was moving stuff around at the workshop. We had to move tables and things like that. So when you think about balance in your life, it says the workaholic. When I worked for other people, not that I don't work a lot now, but I put a little bit more balance into it. But when I worked for other people, when I worked traditional jobs, which, I go in and out of working traditional jobs. In fact, I'm probably going to go and look for a traditional job or apply. I don't know what I'm going to do, because I know if I really put my mind into these things, I only apply to certain places and types of jobs. If I put my mind into it, I know that the universe will respond in kind. So I have to really want these things. And some jobs they look very good and attractive, but I don't even apply, because if I get it, it just, I'm not ready. I'm an entrepreneur, you guys. And, some people who are entrepreneurs, we just can't help ourselves. And, but there's a couple of positions that I've seen hanging around that I think I'm going to apply for and see what happens. I have things to do on my business side that I really have to put some energy into. But I was saying about I'm just calling it a workaholic, air quotes, because, I don't know what that means actually. I just put all of myself into the work that I do, whether I'm working for other people more than myself. So when I work for other people, I'm usually like, I'm the job, I'm 24/7. You can call me anytime. I learned my lesson the last time I got burnt out in 2016. I haven't worked a traditional job since then, because I was like, oh my goodness, why did I put myself in this predicament where people knew they could call me anytime, and I was always thinking about the work and all of that stuff, and I was being identified as the work. It was too much. So when I left, I was completely burned out, and I'm just getting out of it. And part of how you get out of it is to balance. Now, whether you balance now, like you had to quit like me and just just suffer being an entrepreneur, or you went on to some other position or whatever, either way, you have to create balance. And I may have talked about this way in the beginning when I restarted my vlog, but there's something called Spices, and it's part of a program that I used to do years ago. And the Spices of Life stands for spiritual, physical, intellectual, creative, emotional, and social. Those are the things you have to incorporate into your life for balance purposes. They're not saying make it 20% of each or 15% of each. That's not the goal. The goal is to get it in and understand that you got it in. So when you start with spiritual, how do you give time to your spiritual self? Whatever that means. That could include your religion, or however you worship or pray or meditate, but there's got to be some time set aside daily for spiritual. I remember I created this document he was my board chair, and I created a document for him because he is a workaholic, and I was trying to create some balance because I was working the job where he was the board chair of, and I was a workaholic on this particular project. And I'm like, I can't do this any longer. I have to figure out how I'm going to create some balance for myself. So I helped create a little matrix for him, and I created one for myself, which I've abandoned, by the way, but I will get back to it. And so you have to put some time into something every day, and it doesn't mean hours. So on the spiritual side, and I'm not doing this all of these things yet. I used to do them, but now I have to get back to it. Um, on the spiritual side, set aside 15 minutes in the morning when you wake up and 15 minutes in the evening before you go to bed to, do some meditation. Or if you do go to a place of worship once or twice a week, that's included. But on the daily basis, praying, meditating, being intentional, putting things out into the universe that you want to manifest, all of those things you want to be able to do on a daily basis. And I know it's difficult because we get into our routines. That's why I say I haven't gotten into it. I need to also intentionally do these things. And I am. Like, I'm saying them to you because I'm saying them to myself. So spiritual, physical, basically exercise, doing something that gets your heart racing, walking, running, biking, skating, any of those things. So right now, you guys know I elected to do 30 minutes a day. Sometimes I do more. I don't do any less, but sometimes I definitely do more, because if I walk 30 minutes, that's barely, I don't know, that might be 2,000 steps. I'm not sure. I never really counted it. I either count my steps or I count my time. But my commitment was to do 30 minutes a day, and I challenged all of you guys to do the same. But it could be any form of physical involvement. It could be swimming, anything you like to do. Walking every day for 30 minutes could get boring. So I will be incorporating some other kind of things I like to do, like swimming. I told my daughter I was going to go back into, the recreation department in our school district and get some swimming lessons back in. I know how to swim, but I really want to be able to be a very good swimmer. So it's that kind of thing. So it's physical, SPI, intellectual. What are you doing to learn? What are you doing to continue to be a lifelong learner, teach yourself things? I love going to classes. I love going to learn things, I've always been that way. I liked school as a kid. I never not liked school. And I liked school because of the learning aspect of it. So I like to do research and all of that. So intellectual, one of the things I do have to add into my balance, though, around intellectual, because right now all of my intellectual stuff is studying certain things related to whatever, YouTube or what else? There's something else just the things I'm interested in, I go and do research on. What I started doing, and I haven't completed, I think I even put it in a previous video, is read a book and read so many chapters a day. It could be one chapter a day, but that's my thing that I need to incorporate into my spices, into my balance. Next week, I'll be at a training all week from 9 to 5 every day. I'll get a certification for it. It's in lactation, even though, I'm a grandma, you guys, but I really have been connected to this group that I'm working with, one of my clients around doulas and moms and birth work and things like that. And I wish I did this stuff like when I was younger or a mom or whatever. So anyway, next week, for the full week, I'll be in training to get a certification in lactation counseling. So for those of you who are like, what the heck, breastfeeding, okay? So that's what it's for. So I'll have knowledge about this subject matter when I'm teaching it or doing workshop on it. So the next thing, SPI, intellectual. C, creative. What are you guys doing creatively? Are you creating songs? Are you writing poems? Are you creating music of any kind? Are you doing art? These are the things you want to incorporate every day. It could be a minimal amount of time, but something that is just getting your creative juices flowing. I think this is the one, if you're not a traditional creative or a normal creative, that you really have to work hard to do. So today part of my workshop was some artwork that we had to put together. And I was thinking like, man, I'm not getting enough creative stuff going on. And we really have to think about what that looks like, because You know, if I had my way, I'd be writing a book or writing for my book on a daily basis. And that's one thing I think I want to challenge myself on. You guys give me some opinions about what it is you want to challenge yourself on. The next one, SPICE, emotional. This has to do with your feelings and your heart, and telling people you love them, and being able to even just love yourself, and think about things that just make you feel. Where the intellectual is your head, the E in spices is emotional. How you're relating to people, how are you actually, feeling people, not just when I get to the social part, not just socializing with them, but how are you actually feeling individuals. So that kind of stuff, even for an introvert who doesn't like to be around a lot of people all the time, that's something I have to work on for sure. I mean, how do you do the emotional thing without actually being in touch with people? So, I got a lot of work to do. When I think about all these, the SPICES, I'm like, man, I got a lot of work to do. I got 3 things on this little 6 section thing that I have to put into. So into. And then the last one, SPICES, the last S is social, has to do with, having fun, being with friends, being out there, just doing things that have you connecting to, something and some people other than yourself. And it could be social media, but I tend to think it's more human contact, but it could include social media. So I just want you guys to think about that. What is the balance that you are putting into your day? Remember, they don't have to be equal, they just have to be done. Stay tuned in the next few weeks. I'm going to be doing a couple of tutorials, vlogs, whatever you want to call it, on some of the work that I'm actually doing around budgeting and planning, because I'm about to host a few workshops in that, and I like to get my experience, the experiential part for myself, out of the way. So when I'm facilitating, I'm able to explain or give more details to my audience. Okay, so I want to thank those of you who have subscribed to my channel. I truly appreciate you, and truly appreciate all of you. I think I'm at 90 subscribers. Yay! I'm trying to get to 100. So if you guys know anyone, I'm telling you, this is just the beginning of my vlog, you guys. I just want to stay relevant until I get my van. I will be doing sustainability stuff. I will be doing a couple of recipe prep things. And I will be teaching some of the stuff that I know, imparting my knowledge onto you. So again, thank you new subscribers. Thank you traditional subscribers. I'm grateful. I appreciate you guys. Keep coming back. Give me some feedback. Give me some comments. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I do my research so I can talk about a lot of stuff. As you can see, my video is 18 minutes. So thank you again. And this is Jacqueline, JW Van Minimal. I'll see you on the other side.